Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome back to Upside Down Books. Today we're going to be doing my TBR jar for March. I am so excited. These videos are so much fun to do and I got such a wicked TBR for February, so I just can't wait to see what happens.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di
I've got all my jars here ready to pick. I'm so ready, it's not even funny. I'm going to pick the same way that I picked last month. So I'm going to pick one from each of the 5 jars and then I will have an audiobook to read. What I am aware of that I'm failing to do, it's currently still in February whilst I'm filming this, obviously, and I really want to continue my reread of Throne of Glass, and I have a challenge for this year to read as much Colleen Hoover as I can. And I didn't specifically build in time to read her books in February, and I'm unsure at this stage if I'm going to get around to it. I've got so much on my plate when it comes to arcs, and I've still not really thought about how I'm going to deal with the whole arc, and yeah, it's just a struggle. So just see how it goes. Do you know what we're going to do? I'm not going to specifically pick or not pick from something in order to make room for my Colleen Hoover book, because that's going to frustrate the heck out of me. I am going to just see how February goes and March goes, and if we're not getting around to them, we will make changes in April. What I'm going to do about my arcs is I am going to just pick from the jar and I'm going to pick up whatever comes out of there, but it's going to be a backup read if I get through the rest of the TBR, and I will tell you what arc has priority for this month instead. I hope that makes sense. I've still yet to do my explanation, sort of welcome to the TBR jar game video. One day, I'll get to it one day, I promise. But so for now, I will just do a quick recap. I've got 5 jars. I'm trying to read 6 or 7 books each month. I will pick from each of the 5 jars. They're in categories. I have sequels, I have a backlist, I have advanced reader copies, I have diversity, and I have presents. Presents are from birthday and Christmas. The 6th book in the month that I will read will be an audiobook, as I get 1 a month, and I usually read about 1 a month as well. So we will just try and read Throne of Glass or Colleen Hoover on top of that. I can't read that many books. It's fine. It's a work in progress. I just have too many books to read. And look, if I pull out Throne of Glass because I've not finished the series in my sequels jar, then that would just take a bit of stress off. I'm waffling, let's get on, let's just get into it. We're gonna start with pulling and then I will explain the books for the arcs and audiobooks, etc, etc. after. Let's start with the backlist today. That sounds nice and intimidating. So these are all the books that don't fit into any of the other categories. And it could just be anything. This honestly stresses me every time. Give it a nice little shake up. Okay, all right. I have picked one out. Huh, okay. Not the most exciting pick, but fair enough. It's also got a typo on it. It's supposed to say the King's Diamond, but I missed the D on the end there. So I need to go and find that book. Oh Lord. Alright, so this is The King's Diamond by Will Whitaker. This is a book that's been on my TBR for a few years. It is historical fiction, I think. It's not got good reviews on Goodreads. It's a really stiff copy. I got it at a secondhand fair and I thought it sounded interesting, so I guess we'll give it a go. This is the blurb for it. As chaos of war spreads out across Europe, only England holds aloof from the great struggle that is to come. The 36-year-old Henry VIII presides over an opulent and glamorous court, thinking only of the women with whom he has fallen in love. Into the midst of this politically sensitive and dangerous world steps Richard Dancy, a young and ambitious jewel merchant determined to escape his mother's stranglehold on the family firm after his father's early death. Richard's reckless pursuit of jewels worthy of Henry's wooing of Anne Boleyn leads him to Venice and Rome. Obsessed with one diamond but dangerously distracted by love, Richard finds himself thrust into the heart of the murderous politics of Renaissance Europe, and he must fight for his life. I mean, I think the blurb sounds interesting. I've always been hesitant to pick it up because I found out that the reviews weren't wonderful for it. So I guess we'll just have to give it a go, and we'll put into play the rule that I have to give it at least 50 pages before I DNF. Okay, next jar. So I think this one is Diversity. So we'll see which one comes out of here. Again, one day I'll pick out A Song of Wraiths and Ruin and be very happy, but so far it hasn't happened. Guys, every time I feel like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I finally did it. I finally pulled it out. I've been waiting for this for like 6 months to get pulled out of here. Yes, this is such good luck. Last month I was saying how much I wanted to pick out certain books and I ended up picking them out and I'm doing it again. So let me go get my copy of it. So this is A Song of Wraith and Ruin and it's written by Roseanne Brown. I've heard just endless good things about this since people have read it. Apparently there's a good enemies to lovers relationship in here, which I didn't know about, but I heard about the other day. And I'm super excited to read this. I've been highly anticipating it since its release. It's got a lovely little plain but green naked cover and wow. So excited. If you haven't heard about this book, make sure you go and check it out on Goodreads. This was such a big release for 2020 and I haven't heard a bad word about it yet, so I'm very, very excited to read this. Okay, this is my ARCs jar, so I'm very curious what's going to come out of here. So I've got a few on my Kindle to read that I've got through NetGalley. So I will be reading Odin's Child by Siri Pedersen. That's coming out on the 23rd of March. It's quite a hefty book and it's originally written in Norwegian and has been translated. It's a mythology book. I'm very excited. I have high expectations. And then I'll also be reading a book called Mercurial by Naomi Hughes. Comes out on the 16th of March and has a fantastic cover, if I might say so. But I think this sounds like a wonderful little fantasy adventure story. So those are my two priorities for March. I believe I am also getting a book sent my way. Let me just check what it is. It's a book called The Codebreakers. I'm not sure when that's going to arrive on my doorstep. I believe that's coming out on the 3rd of March, so I won't get that read and reviewed in time before its publication date just because it's being sent to me so late, but that will also be on the card. So those are probably the 3 books I'm looking at on the horizon at the moment, and we will just see how that goes. But in the event of a miracle, I will be picking an extra arc for me to read if I am to get through all of that as well. So let's see what happens. Okay, I picked out a book called The Age of Light. I'm pretty sure I have actually picked this before. Problem. Because usually if I pick out a book that I've picked previously, then I prioritize that as book 1, but I'm not going to be doing that because I need to prioritize the other 3 books. So I think the way that we'll do this is we'll try and refigure the rules here, and if I get through the other 3 arcs that I need to read for March, then I will immediately pick up The Age of Light as the next book. So depending on how that goes, whether that's before the other books I pick out or not, we will just see. So this is The Age of Light. It was actually published in 2019, so I've had this one for an embarrassingly long time. This follows a female lead. It starts in 1929. I believe it carries on into World War II as well. I'm forever unsure if this is set in Paris or if it's set in New York. I think it is Paris, and it's going to be following a leading lady in the film industry, I do believe. So I'm very curious to see what this one is like. Hopefully I do get around to this because I do actually really want to read it. I just never seem to be able to actually pick it up. So we will see how that goes. So next I will pick from my sequels jar, which is always very exciting. So much potential and opportunity in this one. There are literally so many things that could be. Oh, a nice easy read. So I've pulled out The Crown's Fate, which is the sequel to the I can't remember what the first one's called actually. Okay, so this is The Crown's Fate. This is by Evelyn Skye and it's the sequel to A Crown's Game. This one is a YA historical fantasy. It was the first book I actually didn't super love. I found it really interesting. I found it really easy to read. It's like set in Russia. There's 2 mages and they sort of battle off to be like the Tsar's magician, I guess, in the palace. And I thought that the concept was really good, but I wasn't wholly blown away by the execution of the idea. But I did want to continue the series and see if it improves. So I will be very curious to see how the story progresses in book 2. I have heard a number of good things about it, so I'm holding out hope. That brings me to my last pick, and that is out of the presents jar. So there's a whole range of things in here that we could be pulling out. This is perfect. I just pulled out the Colleen Hoover book that I have, so we can stop stressing about the whole Colleen Hoover challenge now. So I pulled out November 9, so I'm very excited about that. That's such a relief. I'm having such serendipity when pulling out my TBRs at the moment. So Hoover always writes quite hard-hitting novels with serious themes, and they're always like almost a thriller romance. I'll read you the blurb for this one. So Fallon meets Ben, an inspiring novelist, the day of her scheduled cross-country move. Their untimely attraction leads them to spend Fallon's last day in LA together, and her eventful life becomes the creative inspiration Ben has always sought for his novel. Over time and amidst the various relationships and tribulations of their own separate lives, they continue to meet on the same day every year, until one day Fallon becomes unsure if Ben has been telling her the truth or fabricating a perfect reality for the sake of the ultimate plot twist. Sounds fantastic, sounds like a classic Hoover book, so I'm very excited to read that one, and such serendipity, as I said. So that only leaves me to let you know what audiobook I will be listening to. I am actually currently making very slow progress through The Magician, really enjoying it, but making slow progress. But in the event that I do finish that doesn't take me 2 months to finish, I will be picking up Barack Obama's A Promised Land, obviously that being very popular at the moment, so we will see how that goes, but I'm quite excited to dive into that one. So, in summary, this is my TBR for March. I think that's quite an interesting but good mix, nothing too long, nothing too big. Do not know if I will end up finishing this one, if this will be any good, but we will try. We'll give it 50 pages. For everything else, I'm very excited to read it. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these or if you're planning to, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria mia